But basically everything is, the sun is moving and everything else is moving around with the sun. Everything is moving in space. But it's just a fact that we believe today.
Well, like I said, we walked out our chat and we sort of thing. And yeah, I would disagree. I'd say within the sort of vacuum and its position within sort of space-time sort of thing.
We don't believe in the static state theory anymore. We don't believe the sun is the center of the universe and everything revolves around it. We believe it's moving, and due to its gravity and its basically its force within the space, everything is moving with it, and it's pulling everything together while it's moving. That's just a fact.
But relative, I think what your friends, relative to everything else, it's still in a fixed position, right? That's, it's still the same amount of distance from Earth, right?
But its distance from us is different whether it is moving or it's not, right? Yeah. So yes, there is a distance between Earth and the sun, but the sun is moving.
It remains static within space, because obviously we can verify that by how long light takes to get to us, right?
No, it's not static. No, it's not static. If the sun is, like, if I'm here and you're here, and this is a distance between me and you, and we're both moving, it doesn't change the reality that the sun is moving and Earth is moving.
Oh no, I agree.
So the sun is moving, right?
Of the universe, of course, I agree with that. I just meant in terms of, I misunderstood your friend. I thought he meant relative to the Earth. He didn't explain that. So So the Quran specifically says the sun is moving, has an orbit, right? Allah says, وَالشَّمْسُ تَجْرِي لِمُسْتَقَرٍ لَهَا, and the sun is moving, is running in a way, right, to a fixed destination. So the sun is going, and that's something that we didn't believe before, but the Quran mentions 1,400 years ago. There's many other things that the Quran mentions that we only are discovering recently, and all of these things are showing us that this scripture cannot come from a desert Bedouin Arab 1,400 years ago. Because if you look at other religions, for example, the Bible, how it says the earth is the center of the universe, and that's why we're so special and God created. We don't have that in Islam. And Islam has a unique revelation that comes from God, directly from the creator of the universe, and He knows what He created. Quran gives us descriptions about the clouds, for example, how they're heavy. Now we know they weigh tons, but imagine you're in the deserts of Arabia 1,400 years ago. No microscopes, no TV, no telescopes, no cars, no planes, nothing, right? And you look at these clouds and you say they're heavy. You're not going to do that. You're going to say these are light, they're very fluffy in the air. You're going to say this is light, right? But we know that this must come from the creator who created all of this, because a human being like you and me 1,400 years ago cannot come to these conclusions on his own. Does that make sense? Yeah, like I say, obviously I have a different worldview. So
what's your worldview? Okay, let's hear about your worldview.
I was raised Catholic. I'm atheist now, sort of thing.
Sure.
I was saying the thing I take. I suppose I was talking to a friend about how, like, the thing I find most difficult is to, because he was sort of talking about, we were talking about how, why create a world with suffering, right? So why, and talking about the idea of that Allah, the idea that life is a test, that you have, you have good, you have evil, you have jinns, all that kind of stuff, right? But then he was saying about how, so for me, the thing I can never reconcile is who benefits from evil? Who benefits from why do people need to be tested in this life, sort of thing? If someone is created, if someone is universal and all-knowing and supreme, why did they create this thing which serves no good purpose?
These are two different questions. I don't know you gotta specify your question, because if you're asking me about evil specifically, then the Creator allows us choice in this life, and if He allows us choice in this life for us to be tested in this life, then evil must exist. Because if you don't do evil, then you're not in a test. You only have one choice to do good. There is no test.
Why give people the choice?
Why not? Why not? No, not give the choice to be evil. It's give people the choice to be good or evil, and command them to be good, and tell them to be good. Now, if they choose to be evil, you gotta ask the person who does the evil, why are you choosing to be evil, right? You cannot ask the Creator, why did you give the choice? No, Creator gives people the choice and give them the ability to go to paradise, right? An eternal pleasure. But if someone decides to go murder, steal, or do anything evil, that is their fault. And the thing is this, you don't get away with it. Within an Islamic worldview, the afterlife is very important. It's an essential part of this life, right? And you will be held accountable in the afterlife for the actions that you do. If you do evil, you'll be punished, and if you do good, you'll be rewarded.
But that still doesn't really, for me, answer why evil needs to exist.
Well, you cannot know goodness without evil.
Of course, but then because they're obviously diametrically linked sort of things.
Yeah, so you're not going to know what good is unless evil exists.
No, of course, but why does there need to be that distinction? Why not just?
I just told you cannot know good without evil. So you have to see the opposite of good in order for you to recognize it, and more importantly, appreciate it. If you were just created and put in paradise from the beginning, you wouldn't appreciate nothing. You would think that's the default position, to get whatever you want, to live an eternal life.
You know, my point of view would be why? Because if obviously.
But if you don't believe in God, these questions make no sense, anyways. Like because
of course.
Yeah. So let's ask the more foundational questions.
Yeah.
Then how do you explain the existence of the universe? How does the universe come into existence?
I don't. Well, for me, I don't know the answers to that. So
but there must be an answer. Just like if I ask you what time is it,
there must be an answer.
Yeah. Like if I ask you what time it is, you don't know. That doesn't mean there's no answer to that question, right?
No, of course.
Okay.
And I think, so for me, I think so. That's obviously where we differ. Is that I don't know the answer, and I don't. I'm okay with that. You know, for me, I'm okay with that.
But being okay with something doesn't change the reality of it, right? So if there is a creator and you're okay not knowing there is a creator, it's not going to change the fact that there is a creator, right? It's also not going to change the fact that you'll be held accountable after you die, or you'll be punished if you don't believe in that creator, right? So I think we need to know the answer to that question, and the answer is either definitively yes or no. There's no third option. It's either there is a creator, yes, there's no creator, no. So when you look at the universe, and you know the universe has a starting point, which they refer to as the Big Bang, do you believe something can come from nothing? Absolute nothingness.
No, again, that's why, because I was talking to a friend who was saying about, it says the verse about, Allah is eternal. Yes. So eternal, that suggests some kind of state.
No, before we talk about eternal, I just want you to know the answer to the question from your perspective. Can something come from absolute nothingness?
No.
Okay, if you cannot have something come from absolute nothingness, and the universe has a starting point, you have matter and energy compressed into a very small, minute singularity, which then expands. We need to answer to two questions. Number one, where does the energy and matter come from? Number two,
no idea.
Okay, number two, what causes it? And these require an answer. There must be a cause for the energy and matter. There must be something that brings the energy and matter into existence. Now, why you and me, we cannot create a universe? Why? If I said to create a universe, why can't you do it? That's it? Is it about how, or is it about the fact that you don't have the attributes and ability to do it to begin with?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, sure. So what are the attributes that you need, that you require by definition to create a universe if you wanted to create it?
Matter and energy.
That's it? A lot more. So I would say is the following. You need power and energy nobody can comprehend as a human being. Why? The whole universe is atoms, and atoms are essentially energy. You split them, you have a nuclear explosion because of the amount of energy within the universe. So there's so much energy within the universe that are beyond our comprehension.
So I suppose, as I say, again, applying that logic back to you, if you say everything has to come from something, then
I don't say that. Say everything has a starting point created. Yeah, has to come from something. Yes.
So I would, and it's the obvious infinite regression point, but then
the infinite regression is.
If we just to sort of say Allah is eternal, that doesn't answer that question.
No. I think there's a misunderstanding on your part of the idea of the infinite regression. The infinite regression proves that Allah is eternal. Now, why? It's a very simple question. The universe we know is something that has a starting point. It requires a cause in order for it to come into existence.
Yeah.
Now, if you say, okay, who created God, right? We say God doesn't have a starting point that requires a cause anyways. But if you ask the question, who created God, then you'll have to keep asking that question to the past, right? That's what the infinite regression is. But if that was the case, we cannot exist today. Why? Because nothing will create Allah, and nothing will create what created Allah, and nothing will exist.
It's a logical impossibility.
Okay, exactly. So there is no infinite regression, which means there must be something always existing to start that cycle of creation. Now that is what we call the creator. So by by definition, if we exist, there must be something eternal. That's not even a question. That's just a fact. If humans exist today, if there was a point where we were created, there must be something eternal that initiates the cycle of creation. So the infinite regression is a proof there has to be an eternal thing. And if you add to it,
it proves,
it proves the existence of an eternal thing. And that eternal thing that starts everything else. I was saying attributes like power, attributes like knowledge you cannot even comprehend to create this universe in the detailed ways that it is, not being bound by time and space the way we are, because the stars time-space continuum within the universe. That's what God is by definition. That is the definition of what most people, you can say higher power, you don't want to say God, you don't have to.
No, I suppose that's where we probably disagree, I suppose.
But we disagree based on what? Because what I'm saying is consistent and rational reasoning.
For me,
tell me what you disagree with.
Someone that subscribes to the scientific method sort of thing. For me, things have to be verified, obviously.
But I was using the scientific method actually. You know that Muslims are the ones who invented the scientific method.
Mathematics.
Yes. Even the scientific method is by Hassan al-Haytham. Yes.
I know this. I know. Yeah.
Sure.
And for me personally, in my life, that doesn't give me what I need.
I think you have a different reason for why you don't want to believe in God, and I don't think the reason is necessarily rational. It seems like your reasoning is a bit different. And you can say your reasoning, and we can talk about it. But if you talk about it from a rational perspective, you know that reasoning is with what I just said. There's no flaws in the reasoning that I just gave you. Just common sense. Now,
because I would politely disagree. I think you cannot have something.
You cannot have from something. What do you mean by that? You cannot have us if you don't have something eternal. How do we exist then?
But you cannot have something which is eternal if there's nothing.
No, but there is no nothing. There is something.
But where's that from?
That's my point.
You can't. I don't know. For me.
But that's the argument I'm making essentially.
No, but I can't. For me,
yes.
I can't
find a way to worship God.
I can't. I just don't. I think that doesn't answer the question. I think.
Which question does it not answer?
Where does everything come from? You can't just say, oh, there's an eternal. To me, that's.
No, I'm not. This is not what I said. I said if we talk about everything comes from, we talk about the universe. You must have something with the following attributes I gave you. Otherwise, you cannot have a universe.
I agree with that.
Sure. And one of those attributes is eternality. There's just one attribute that comes by necessity. But it's not only that. It's power you cannot comprehend. There's knowledge you cannot comprehend, and all of that. And initiate the universe is independent of it. This is what a definition of a higher power of God is by definition.
For me, the notion of eternity is linked to linked to the idea of matter and time space. So you cannot.
How did you make that correlation? I don't get it.
Because eternity is a measurement of time.
Well, it depends on what you mean by time. Like, how do you define time? But eternality means there is no beginning. It's so simple. Eternality, you can have pre and post eternality. In this case, we're referring to the two. There's nothing. Basically, there is no beginning and there is no end. That's what eternality is. Something that was always there and will always be there. It's a very simple concept. It's a very simple idea. Something that was always there. It doesn't start at a certain point and end at a certain point. Now, we as human beings and everything else starts at a certain point and ends at a certain point, and therefore it must be something that starts everything else. We say that is what the Creator is, and not just the eternality. Like I said, the other attributes are also necessary. You cannot have the universe without something that possesses the attributes of God by definition. The universe cannot come into existence unless you have something that has power, you cannot comprehend, and have knowledge. You cannot have a universe otherwise, because these are necessary attributes to create a universe.
Well, I think for me, we always have different points of view.
No, but you see, you keep saying that, but you're not giving me the reasoning opposite to what I'm saying. You see, you could just tell me what is really the reason that the problem that you have with God. Because I think there is something else you're not saying.
I have a problem with the notion of God.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, so there isn't anything else that is like deep down that is making you think I don't want to believe in God.
Not as far as I know.
Okay, so then you're not really answering the reasoning with something. Okay, how did you live Christianity? What happened there?
My grandfather died when I was 9, and I couldn't reconcile concept of infinity with my life. Basically, I couldn't comprehend the notion of infinity. So I didn't.
Did your grandfather raise you? reality?
No.
Okay.
So I would just, I couldn't comprehend. I suppose I couldn't comprehend, and I don't think humans can comprehend what infinity truly means. So when I thought about the idea of a heaven or a hell, and
infinity or eternality, which one?
Essentially they're the same.
No, they can be different, right?
They can be semantically different.
Yeah,
they
can be different.
The same thing. When we say the eternal, the infinite, we essentially mean the same.
Sure.
That's just a question of semantics.
Sure.
So when I was, for me, I don't think humans can perceive of the infinite. So I was never comfortable with the idea.
Why do you need to perceive it?
Well, for me to believe in something which is infinite and eternal, I suppose I can comprehend it.
No, but
I didn't have sure. It's a question of faith, right?
Sure. Well, what is there not to comprehend about the idea that something has no beginning and no end? It's a very basic concept.
It's not very basic.
No, it is, because you've already experienced. We were just talking about good and evil and experiencing the opposite of something. You've experienced the opposite of eternality, which is whether you want to call it mortality or being finite. You've already experienced that. You've already seen it, so you are easily able to conceive of its opposite. That's why when you go to dictionaries, for example,
I can't perceive of a nothingness, right? Human consciousness.
We're not talking about nothingness.
Well, for me, that's
you can perceive it. Actually, you can.
That's the antithesis of.
You can understand the concept.
Something is. Well, for me, I can't. For me personally, I can't perceive of nothingness because.
What do you mean by perceive?
Since I've been conscious, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. What do you mean by perceive? You can understand logically what the concept is. That there is something. Nothing is the absence of everything. That's it.
Yeah, but I can't. Can you see?
I think that's a cop-out, to be honest, because you understand.
Because since you've been conscious,
I'll tell you why.
When you were given consciousness in your
sure.
view, you've only been able to perceive consciousness.
Sure.
Because
I know the
definition.
Sure.
It's impossible to conceive of true unconsciousness, i.e., nothing.
What do you mean by conceive? I don't understand what you mean by conceive. If you're talking about understanding the concept,
what is nothing? What is nothing?
Is the absence of everything.
Yeah, but that's just that's obviously I'm saying about.
So take everything out of existence and then have absolute nothingness, and there is nothing there. It's a concept that you can easily understand when you put it in paper.
I think
what is in my statement that is not you're not able to understand?
That it's easy to understand nothingness.
No. What is in my statement that nothingness is the absence of everything that you're not able to understand?
No, I understand what you're saying. So logically, from a linguistic point of view.
Yes, that's all I'm saying. That's how we communicate as humans.
Of course, that's how we communicate our ideas. But so if it's that straightforward,
it is.
Use your language to describe nothingness to me, not just.
I just said
of everything.
But that's what the description of nothingness is, because it's no thing.
Yeah, of course.
Nothing is no thing. There's nothing. There's no thing that exists. That's what nothing is.
Yeah.
That's the definition of it. So I just use the language.
So it's possible to have. It's not possible to have the eternal if there's no thing.
Yeah, that's why we say that no thing. There was never a point where there was no thing. That's the claim we make. God was always there. That's the point of eternality. There was no point where there was no thing, but there was a point where we didn't exist.
No, but if there's something, to use your language, if there's something, by definition, nothing. If you can understand something without.
If there's something, what? Sorry.
To use your logic earlier.
Yes.
If we understand the term something, by definition, we can understand something if there's no thing. So if there's no thing.
No, I didn't say that.
You did.
No, I said you can
understand good and evil. So you can understand one thing with the other, right? So
you can understand.
You have to be able to understand nothing.
Yeah, but
so if there is nothing, that means there's no eternal.
No. In this case, this is very different. The idea of something and nothing, and the idea of good and bad. These are two very different concepts, right? Because the idea. No. Yeah, for good and bad, you can say that. But for
good and bad,
because that's what I'm telling you. Because that's why. Because the opposite of something is nothing. So all you need to do is to subtract that.
No eternal. Right?
Yeah. So they're not like good and bad. So it's not like if you subtract this one, you'll have the other. But with good and bad, with something and nothing, you can do that.
Why does that
if you subtract
something and nothing?
Because they're opposites. But in this case, in the case of something and nothing, if you subtract one, the other will be. So if all you need to do is to subtract or remove the idea of something to have nothing. But it's not the same thing with good and bad.
Well, for me,
it's not if you just subtract good, therefore you would have evil. That's not a necessary conclusion. You understand? It's not the same. Like if you just take good, therefore you have evil. No, it's not necessarily. Good is an action of opposite of evil. You have to do something against good in order for it to be evil. So a fallacy to compare the two because it's a false equivocation. They're not the same. So you cannot equivocate the two. In the case of something or nothing, all you need to do is to take one out of the picture.
I'm just saying.
But you said this, therefore this. Something is not the same.
That's my thing. So if there is something, there is something, right?
Yes.
So there's also
just imagine that there is no something, therefore you have nothing.
There can also be nothing.
Also, we can understand the concept of nothing. We have the idea of nothing and the concept of nothing, but on a mini scale in our existence. When you say there's nothing in my pocket, you can understand that this is something. If I take it out, therefore there is nothing in my pocket. So we already have the concept anyways. All you need to do is to maximize. All you need to do is to maximize the concept rather than minimizing it on something that you observe. So you very fully, clearly understand what the concept of something or nothing is because you experience.
If you have something, then by definition, there's also.
Honestly, I think we're doing semantics now. I think
No. I think you're saying that because.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that because you keep saying things which are very, with all due respect, just beating around the bush. If you stop anyone and you're like, do you know what nothing is? Yeah, I know what nothing is. It's the absence of something. But you're trying to say that common sense is not common sense anymore. You're arguing principles and concepts which all human beings essentially in generality agree upon. You're trying to make it seem as if we don't understand them. And you're doing that with all due respect to escape the idea that now you know if you follow the rational conclusion and the reasoning, you have to come to the conclusion there must be a higher power, something that brings in the universe into existence. It's just common sense. You don't want to accept that conclusion for whatever reason. So now you're arguing very basic agreed upon principles and ideas, like the concept of nothing, the concept of eternality.
The sense of if you're going to be, to apply rationality to again, if there's something rationally, there's also the possibility for nothing, right?
There can be nothing, but there hasn't been nothing because if there was, we wouldn't exist. That's the argument we make. We're not saying it's not like nothing cannot exist. We're saying it didn't exist because we're here. It is possible, yes.
So for me, I suppose I just can't.
But it's not possible if we exist. It's not possible if we exist. Because if it was ever there, we cannot exist.
Yeah.
So after our existence, it's no longer possible. But conceivably, it is if we don't exist.
Yeah. So it's possible.
If we don't exist.
If we don't exist.
Yeah, but we do exist. Therefore, it becomes impossible.
We do exist. But, so what I'm saying, so that's obviously where we'll have a different point of view. I believe.
I'm gonna let you go. It's okay. Okay. Do you have any questions about Islam?
No, I've enjoyed chatting. I think it's good.
No worries.
It's good to
No worries.
To have your debate is good, right?
No, I mean for a purpose, yes. With what they call with good intentions and not like approaching it while we're just arguing for sake of arguing. It's about reaching a conclusion, right?
I'm not trying to.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's with reaching a conclusion in good faith, not in bad faith, right? So it's very simple that the Quran and Islam has information, like I was telling you, that Prophet Muhammed mentioned that nobody could have known 1,400 years ago. It's also a fact that rationally you have to come to a conclusion. There has to be a creator. If you go through things with reasoning, knowing that the universe has a starting point, knowing the Big Bang and all of that. And therefore, this is the conclusion of Islam. We follow Islam because we know there's proof that Prophet Muhammad is a messenger of God and that there is a creator in the universe. Now, someone can live his life, can pretend that I don't understand the concept of nothing or any of that, but you'll die one day. And once you die,
I'm not pretending that.
Yeah, I'm saying someone, not you. I'm not saying you. I'm saying some.
I struggle to reconcile.
Yeah. And someone can use any excuse. It doesn't have to be this, and they can just say, okay, I'm not going to believe. I'm going to live my life, but you'll die one day. And the fact that these things are rational, coherent, and realities will always be the fact that these things are rational, coherent, and realities. And therefore, when you die, it's too late. So our message is just to give the people the truth, right? I'm not here to convince anyone. Islam doesn't teach us to convince. It's to convey. I'm conveying the message. And now, it's upon you in the end whether to accept or reject that thing. I don't know if you read the Quran or not. Have you read the Quran?
I've never read.
Would you like a copy? I'm going to give it to you. It's free. Just give it a read. I mean, it will interest you. You'll find a lot in here that you have not read before. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to come back, It's a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for giving me your time. Appreciate it. Bye. Thank you.